Hello, welcome to my Pre-Algebra review series. This video covers Chapter 5, Section 8, titled Solving Equations by Multiplying Fractions. By the end of this section, you will have reviewed the procedures for multiplying to solve equations, including multiplying by a reciprocal, simplifying before multiplying, and multiplying by a negative reciprocal. Additionally, you will be solving equations with mixed numbers and solving a real-world problem. Please leave a like if you find this video to be helpful. Give your classmates a heads up too. It will be more than likely to help them, and it will help this channel to be seen by more students. If you'd like me to cover any of these topics in greater detail, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I read them and I do my best to address each as time permits. Please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell icon to be notified every time I release a new video. Thank you. Objective 1. Using multiplication to solve equations. You know how to undo multiplication by dividing each side of an equation by the same number. You can also multiply each side of an equation by the same fraction to undo multiplication. Example 1. Multiplying by a reciprocal. Solve. 5a is equal to 1/7. So what do we have to do? So this is the same as any other time we've looked at these equations. It has a fraction in it, but it really isn't going to make too much difference. What we're going to do here is we're going to get the a by itself. And that means that the a has to have a coefficient of 1. Right now, in this problem, a has a coefficient of 5. And we need to get it to have a coefficient of 1. In order to do that, we have to divide or multiply by the reciprocal. Divide by 5 on both sides, or multiply each side by 1/5. Let's do the 1/5. Let's multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to say 1/5, 1/5 times 5a is equal to 1/7, okay, times 1/5. And when we do this, the 5's here cancel on this side with the a. This 1 just remains a 1. So this ends up being 1a, or just plain a, equals 1/7 times 1/5. And what is 1/7 times a fifth? Well, the multiplication, we learned in a previous slide that you multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators. So a equals 1 times 1. I'll do it 1 times 1/7 times 5, and that equals 1/35. And that's our answer, 1/35. Okay, example 1, check your understanding. Solve each equation. This time it's your turn. So you know what to do. Pause the video. And if I ever forget to say pause the video, you know you can always pause the video. So pause the video and work them yourself, and then come back and we'll do them together. Okay, I'm assuming you've done that. Let's go ahead and start with A. So A says 8x equals 5/7. So 8x equals 5/7. And what did I say to do just in the previous slide? The x, in this case, has to have a coefficient of 1. It has to be by itself and have a coefficient of 1. It has a coefficient of 8 at this moment. So in order to remove that 8, we have to divide each side by 8 or multiply each side by the reciprocal of 8, which is 1/8. I will do it that way. So 1/8 times 8x is equal to 5/7 times 1/8. You have to multiply both sides by the same number. So in this case, the 8's disappear, and we end up with an x, and we end up with 5 times 1, 5 times 1/7 times 8. And that equals 5/56. And I'm going to think that this ends right there. There's nothing much more we can do. Okay, there's our solution for that. How about B? 2y is equal to 7/9. Again, get the y by itself. Means the coefficient must be 1. In our case, it's a 2, so we're going to have to multiply by 1/2 on each side. 1/2 times 2y is equal to 7/9 times 1/2. These 2's cancel, and we're left with a y on this side, or a 1y. See the 1? Right here's the 1y, but we don't need to write the 1. 1y equals 7 times 1, 7 times 1 over 9 times 2, which is equal to 7 over 18, 7/18, right there. Okay, one more. 3a equals 4/5. Again, the 3 has to disappear. A has to be by itself. So we're going to write 1/3 times 3a is equal to 4/5 times 1/3. And when we do that, the 3's here cancel. We end up with a equals 4 over 15. Okay, done. Looking good. Example 2, simplifying before multiplying. When the numerator and the denominator have common factors, you can divide the common factors to help you multiply. So let's take a look at this. So here's the problem. 4/5 m is equal to 9/10. Well, we can certainly do a couple things. We can try to get the m by itself. And in order to do that, we're going to multiply the coefficient of m by its reciprocal. And then and both sides, by the way, by the reciprocal. And then once we do that, we'll have m by itself, and then we'll have two fractions on the right-hand side ready to be multiplied. And there, we can do this common factoring if we'd like. But we could do it right now if we want. But we're going to go ahead and choose to do it after we do the move here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 4/5 m equals 9/10. We're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So we're going to say the reciprocal of 4/10 is 5/4. So we're going to say 5/4 times 4/5 m is equal to 9/10 times 5/4. Okay, and now if we look at this, we're going to see these are going to cancel. These right here are going to cancel. They're going to end up equaling 1. Okay, and so the answer over here is going to be m on the left-hand side, and we can divide or factor. We can factor these equations, these fractions, to make the multiplication simpler. So one thing we can do for sure is we can take 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 10 two times. So we can divide 5 by 5 and 10 by 5 and get 2. So now we have 9/2 over 1 times 1/4. And if we do that multiplication now, we're going to say 9 times 1 is 9. And we're going to say 2 times 4 is 8. So m is equal to 9/8. Okay? And if we're going to take it to the next step, which would be to get rid of the improper fraction, it's going to be equal to 1. 8 will go into 9 one time with 1 remainder, 1 1/8. Either of those is the answer as we're looking at them, but the official answer is 1 1/8. Okay, example 2, check your understanding, solve each. There's 3 problems here to solve. They're going to be handled pretty much just like the previous slide. So why don't you go ahead and stop the video if you haven't already and work it out, and then when you come back, we'll continue. Okay, problem A. 2/9 times t. We're going to multiply, we're going to get the t by itself. So we're going to have to multiply by the reciprocal of 2/9, which is 9/2. So we're going to start right off the bat by saying 9/2 times 2/9 t is equal to 5/6 times 9/2. These right here cancel and become 1. So we have t by itself. And over here we have we can factor out, what they want us to do is factor out common factors. Well, there's a common factor here in the 6 and the 9, and that's a 3. So we can get rid of divide the 6 by 3 and get a 2, and the 9 by 3 and get a 3. So now the result on this side is going to be 5 halves times 3 halves equals 15 over 4. And then if we take and convert this to a mixed number, 4 goes into 15 3 times. And there are 3 remaining. 15 minus 12 is 3. So we have 3 and 3 remainder, 3/4. So the solution there is 3 3/4. B, 4/3 S equals 8/9. Well, again, we're going to get the S by itself. We're going to do that by multiplying S by the reciprocal of its coefficient, which is 3/4. The reciprocal is 4/3. So 4 over 3 times 3 over 4. S is equal to 8 or 9 times 4 over 3. And that equals, well, this portion over here, the left-hand side, equals 1. So we have S. And we can't really, there's no factoring available here for us. There's nothing we can do to reduce anything. So it's just going to be 32. That's 8 times 4 is 32. Divided by 9 times 3 is 27. And now we have an improper fraction. There are no factors in here that we can deal with. So we're just going to divide 27 into 32. And we're going to say 1, because 27 goes in one time. And 32 minus 27 is 5. So the remainder is 5/27. Okay, that's the solution to A or B. And now C, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have to multiply the coefficient of D by its reciprocal. And the D is multiplied by 5/4. That's the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by 4/5. So we're going to say both sides. 4 over 5 times 5 over 4 is equal to 5 over 4. I'll put the parentheses here, so that's that, times 4 over 5. That's the reciprocal we're multiplying by. And we have D. And when we do that, this 4 over 4 is a 1, 5 over 5 is a 1, so we end up with a 1 here. And look what we have. 5 over 5 here, 4 over 4 here is a 1. So we have 1D. And if we choose not to write the 1, that's the answer. D is equal to 1. Okay, that was fun. Example 3, multiplying by a negative reciprocal. Solve minus or negative 14/25 K is equal to 8 over 15. So again, we're going to come up with the reciprocal to get the K by itself. This time we're going to, when we make the reciprocal of K, the coefficient of K, we're going to take the negative sign with us, of course, okay? Because we're going to be multiplying both sides by that negative side. So what we're going to do is, and then we're going to, like I said, multiply both sides, and there may be some factoring that we can do over here to make this a little simpler. But let's see. So we're going to multiply by negative 25/14. I'll put parentheses around that. Times negative 14/25 times K, and that is equal to 8/15 times negative 25/14. Right? I'll put the parentheses. Negative 25/14. Okay, now is there any factoring we can do as we look at this? First of all, we know we're going to get rid of all of this. It's going to disappear. Factors, this is 1, so that we have a K by itself here. That's what we wanted. And the negatives, the negative here, and the negative here, and the negative here, they cancel each other and make a positive. So now we have 8 and 14 and 15 and 25. So what can we do here? And we're going to leave this negative sign. The whole thing's going to be negative when we're done, right? So we can put the negative right out here. Right now I got the negative out there. So the 8 and 14, there's a common factor of 2. So if I factor out the common factor of 2, I can put a 4 here, and I'll put a 7 down here. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And then 25 and 15, there's a common factor of 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And 25 divided by 5 is 5. So now we can take this, and I can say 4 times 5 is, I'll just say it this way. I'll say 4 times 5, and it's over. The next negative sign is still here. I didn't lose it. 3 times 7. 3 times 7. And that equals 20 over 21. And it's negative. And there's nothing common here. So we're just going to we have to find the mixed number for this. So it's going to be a negative. 21 goes into, nope, in fact, there's nothing goes on there. Now that I look at it, there's nothing in factor. That was my mistake. Excuse me. I was jumping ahead of myself here. Just erase those. And that's it, negative 20 over 21. Example 3, check your understanding. Solve each equation. You know your job now is to stop the video and give them a shot. See if you can get these done. When you get done, come on back and we'll do them together. See how you did. Okay. So starting here with problem A, we have the coefficient of r is negative 6/7. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of negative 6/7, and that's negative 7/6. So we flip over the fraction. So negative 7/6 right there times negative 6/7 r equals 3/4. Okay, and we have to multiply both sides by the negative 6/7, so it's times 7/6 rather, 7/6, and that we know now that these two right here cancel each other out. That was the intention. We multiplied by the reciprocal, so we could cancel them. So now they're cancelable, and they are canceled. R now equals, and there's a negative sign. I'm going to bring the negative right now so we don't forget it. And we can also divide out the 3 and 6 over here. So the 3 goes into 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 6 twice. And now we have a 4 and a 7. There's no factoring allowed there or possible. So it's 1 times 7 here over 4 times 2 is 8. Okay? And there's nothing else we can do. That's the answer, negative 7/8. How about B? We have the reciprocal of the coefficient of B, which is negative 10/13, will be negative 13/10. So I'll put parentheses, negative 13/10, close paren, open paren, times negative 10/13, close paren, B is equal to, close paren, or open parens rather, negative 2 2/3 times negative 13/10. Okay, we know, as we've been doing all along here, that these cancel each other. That's the purpose of this whole exercise, is to cancel that, to get the B by itself. So now B equals what? So as you look at that, we have a negative 13/10 and a negative 2/3. Well, those negatives are going to cancel each other, so there's not going to be a negative answer. It'll be a positive answer. And we can divide the 2 into 2 one time and 2 into 10 5 times. And there's nothing else to do. 13, and there's nothing else we can do. The negative signs went away, so it's 1 times 13 is 13, and that is over 3 times 5 is 15. And the answer there is 13/15. Nothing else, no factoring, no way to reduce that. It's not an improper fraction, so we can't convert it to a mixed number or we don't need to anyways. Problem C. Negative 6n times 3/7. Well, we have to get rid of the negative 6 because we need the n by itself. In order to do that, we have to multiply by the reciprocal of negative 6. And what is the reciprocal of negative 6? Well, we know that any number like this can be written, and I'm just writing this under the line under the 6 right there. It can be multiplied. This is over 1, right? 6 over 1 is the same as 6. So negative 6 over 1, n is still negative 6 over n, same answer. So the reciprocal is 1 over 6. So I'm going to say negative 1 over 6, because that's the reciprocal, times negative 6 n is equal to 3/7 times negative 1 over 6. These cancel. The 6's. 6 over 6 is a 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Negative times a negative is a positive. So n, a positive n, equals, we can factor out the 3 out of the 6. So we factor a 3 out of the 3 and get a 1. 3 out of the 6 and get a 2. So we have 1 times 1 is 1. And it's going to be negative because this is a positive over here. It's going to be a negative 1. And 7 times 2 is 14. So the answer is negative 1/14. Very good. Okay, objective 2, solving equations with mixed numbers. Okay, it says change mixed numbers to improper fractions before multiplying. That's all it's saying here. So if you have a mixed number, you have to change it to an improper fraction, and then you can do everything we've just been doing. Okay, good deal. Example 4, real-world problem solving. Your teacher needs a shelf to hold a set of books, each 1 5/8 inches wide. How many books will fit on a shelf 26 inches long? In words, we're going to say the width of each book times the number of books is equal to the width of the shelf. Or it can't be any larger than that, but it could be exactly equal to the width of the shelf. So those are the words for the equation. We're going to let n, here we're going to let n right here, n equal the number of books. That's what we're trying to find out, is how many books, because it says how many books will fit on the shelf. And we know that the books are 1 5/8 inches. So the equation for this will be 1 5/8 inches, one here right here, times the number of books, n, is equal to 26. So that's the number they gave us. That's what it has to be equal to, right here at the top, right here, 26-inch long shelf. So the books all added up have to be the length of the shelf or less. So now let's work the problem. I'm going to rewrite the problem. 1 5/8 n is equal to 26. Okay? Not too bad. So convert this to an improper fraction. That's what it said we had to do. So 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13. 13/8 n is equal to 26. So now we're going to multiply the n by the reciprocal of its coefficient. 13/8, the reciprocal of that is 8/13. So 8/13 times 13/8 n equals 26 times 8/13. These two fractions cancel each other out, become a 1. So it's n equals 13. Does 13 go into 26? So we can maybe reduce this? Yes, it does. 13 goes into 13 once. 13 goes into 26 2 times. So now we have 2 times 8, which is 16 over 1. Okay? And that we can get rid of the 1. We can just say n equals 16. So 16 books can be placed on the shelf 26 inches. But if we go back in and if we put that in there, is that what it does come out exactly to 16. There's no remainder. There's nothing like that. So I guess 26 is going to be the answer on this. Okay, example 4. Check your understanding. Solve each equation. As you know from the past, we're going to let you or ask you to pause the video. And when you come back, we'll work them together. Okay, now that you're back, let's look at the first problem, A. Well, you know that we have to first convert any mixed number to an improper fraction before we can work with it. So in order to do that, we're going to start off right here with 3 1/2 is equal to 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So 7 halves n is equal to 28. So that's the first step. Now the second step is to get the n by itself on either side of the equation, but what's on the left, we're going to leave it on the left. And to do that, we're going to multiply the coefficient of n, 7 halves, by its reciprocal, 2 sevenths. So 2 sevenths times 7 halves, n is equal to 28, okay, and times the same reciprocal, 2 sevenths. Okay, and now these cancel each other out and become a 1. So now we have n equals, now n, of course, you know, is n is 28 is, of course, 28 over 1. So 7, does 7 divide into 28? Yes, it does. 7 goes into 7 one time. 7 goes into 28 4 times. And now we're in good shape. We can now say n is equal to 4 times 2. 4 times 2, right there, is 8. And it's over 1, right? Over 1. So that equals n equals 8. And that is the solution to problem A. Problem B, we have negative at this time, so we're going to end up with a negative answer. So let's look at this. Again, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the coefficient of r, but before we can take the reciprocal of it, we need to convert it to an improper fraction. So I'm going to say minus 7/20 is equal to 1 times 6 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 7/6 r. The r is on the right side. We will leave it on the right side. There's no harm in doing that. And in order to get rid of this coefficient of r and make it a 1, we have to multiply by the reciprocal of 7/6, which is 6 sevenths. So we're going to multiply both sides by 6 sevenths. So I'm going to multiply this side, 6 over 7. I'll put parentheses around it, times negative 7/20, okay, equals 7 over 6 r times 6 sevenths. Okay? So, when we did this, the 7 and the 7 here, they cancel. The 6 and the 6 cancels. So we end up with an r, a 1r over here. And can we reduce anything here? Well, we have a 7 here and a 7 here, so those will certainly reduce to a 1. Okay? And 6 has a 2 in it. 20 has a 2 in it. So 6 with a 2 gives us a, divided by 2 gives us a 3. 20 divided by 2 gives us a 10. So 1 and a 1 and a 3 and a 10. R is equal to, I'll put it on this side, R is equal to, and of course we have to remember that we multiplied by a negative. I forgot that earlier, forgive me. A negative 6 sevenths. So the negative 6 sevenths. So that makes this a negative value here, which is negative 3 tenths. That's the answer. Excuse me for not carrying that negative sign, which was right there and I didn't do it. Sorry. And now let's go down to C. So the first thing we're going to do is going to convert both of these mixed numbers to improper fractions. And we're going to do that right now. I'm going to start here on the left-hand side, and it's going to be negative 4 times 2 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 fourths. And I have the negative sign there. H is equal to negative 2 times 12 is 24, plus 1 is 25. 25 halves. Now, we're going to get rid of the 11 fourths because we have to have the h by itself with a coefficient of 1. So we're going to do that by multiplying. I'll get it this time. Negative 4 11ths times negative 11 fourths times h is equal to negative 25 over 2 times negative 4 elevenths. Okay, these two over here cancel each other out as always. That equals 1, so h is equal to, okay, is there anything we can factor? We can factor the 2 here and put a 1, and the 4 here and put a 2. So this 2 goes into 4 2 times. 25 and 11, there's not much we can do with 25 and 11. So I'm going to say it's negative 25 and a negative 4. Those are going to be a positive. So now this is a positive answer. And we're going to have 25 times 2 is 50 over 11. Because this is a 1 here. 50 over 11. And that equals what? The improper fraction here. 11 goes into 50 how many times? Well, we know 4 is 44, 5 is 55, so it's 4. So 4, and it is positive. And how many 11ths? So 44, or 50 taken from 40 minus 44 is 6. So we're going to do 6 11ths. So the answer here is 4 and 6 11ths.